A few times I've mentioned cupcakes. I just like that you have your own little piece of cake and that's perfect and that's your little individual portion. No muss, no fuss, no need to slice it up or anything. And I made really delicious cupcakes that I've told you about in the past for our wedding, and that was super fun. I made those gluten-free using King Arthur flour. That's like 1-to-1 ratio, and you can taste a little bit different, but I digress. So I made these cupcakes, and I first found the recipe about a year and a half ago, I want to say. It was for my birthday, and I was trying to find a recipe that didn't call for any eggs, because eggs were pretty hard to find. I really just wanted a birthday cake. I mean, I was turning 30. I needed something to commemorate my 30th birthday. So I found this recipe, and funnily enough, it's called depression cake. I was kind of sad when I found the recipe, but I was really happy that I found it because this cake is super delicious. It's super moist. So you're probably wondering why it doesn't call for eggs. We can get into that. We can get into why it's called depression cake, and let's get it all started here today on Sweetly Savory. The whole reason it's called depression cake is because it became really popular during the Great Depression, and that's when they didn't have a lot of eggs either. So this cake actually calls for white vinegar instead of eggs. So it's going to call for white vinegar and baking soda powder. Baking soda. I made that mistake last night. I had made these cupcakes for another video, and I can put the little clip up here. My cupcakes came out kind of sad, super dense, and didn't have the texture that we're familiar with. So I was really upset, to say the least. And I thought that I was going to have to go buy new baking stuff, but I just reread the recipe. So always make sure to read your recipe, make sure to read what the ingredient is that you're going to be putting in. Learn from my mistakes. That's why I demystify home baking. It's going to call for baking soda and the vinegar, and that's going to have the levitating action of kind of an egg. And this is a really great option if you're vegan. So I'll put this in my free from playlist. That is free from meat or dairy or flour or something. If I do something alternative in a recipe, I'll put it in that playlist down below, which I can link down in the description. So make sure to definitely check that one out. I can also probably put one up here. So yeah, it doesn't call for eggs, and it sounds really kind of funky because you're putting vinegar into chocolate cake. Now you can use either white vinegar or apple cider vinegar, whichever one you got on hand, and you can't even tell the difference when you put it into the recipe. It just tastes like chocolate cake, to be honest. I want to put a quick disclaimer that I'm going to be making half of this cupcake recipe or cake recipe because I only want 6 cupcakes and not a full dozen. But I'm going to put the breakdown of how much ingredients you're going to need in the description down below, so don't worry about that. I'll read off the full amount of the ingredients in this video, but like I said, everything's down in the description. No need to worry about that. Let's get into the ingredients of this depression cake. So what you're going to need is 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 cup sugar, 1/4 cup unsweetened cocoa, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now for the salt, I'm gonna do the coarse sea salt again, and typically I do regular table salt in this recipe because that's just what I had on hand, and I never thought to use coarse sea salt, but I've been using it in the past for a lot of my other recipes because that coarse sea salt is just gonna enhance the flavor instead of making it salty. But if you've got table salt, that would be perfectly fine. I just want to test this out and see how it comes out this time. 1 teaspoon baking soda. Optional is to do a 1/2 teaspoon of espresso. I don't have any of that, of the instant espresso, so I'm going to be omitting it, but you can definitely put that in if you like. 1 teaspoon vanilla extract. Now, I'm going to be honest again, and in my last attempt, I used literally the last of my bottle of vanilla extract. So this time I'm going to be using maple syrup as my substitute for vanilla extract, 1 tablespoon of vinegar, cider or white, like I said, 1/3 cup of vegetable oil, and 1 cup cold water. So first what you're going to want to do is mix all of your dry ingredients together. And my flour and my sugar are a little clumpier than I would like them to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this sifter thingy. And I don't typically, because it's just something else to clean. And I'll add my sugar in. Now see, you probably can't see it in the video quality, but sifting that flour, that has created a little flour cloud around me, which is actually kind of cool, but I don't want to light a match or a lighter. I can tell you why, because flour is actually flammable, as we learned in the molasses video. That was kind of a cool non sequitur that we had. Thanks to Evan and all of his funny but very useful trivia. We've never done a trivia night before, and I feel like we need to. All right, we're gonna add our cocoa powder. Okie dokie, artichoke. Wow, I made a huge mess in my bowl. So I'm gonna go ahead and incorporate all these dry ingredients together. I'm super glad that I used that sifter, just so that everything is gonna come out smooth. And let's go ahead and add our wet ingredients. Now originally in this recipe, it does say to make it in a cake pan, because it calls to make it in a 9x9 ungreased pan, I think it is. You mix it all in there and you make a little well, and then you pour in your wet ingredients. I don't really feel like doing that. I'm just gonna put it into a bowl and then mix it all together and put it in my cupcake tin. You can do it either way. This is just the method that I'm doing today. So pour our water. So the maple syrup instead of the vanilla extract, that's just going to bring a warmth of flavors and kind of meld everything together. Because if you've ever actually tasted vanilla extract on its own, like in a tablespoon or something, it's really quite disgusting. I wouldn't recommend doing that. I did it one time just to see what it tasted like, because curiosity is going to kill the cat. It's more meant to bring your flavors together and to elevate the sweetness and like everything together. Don't try that at home, kids. All right, we got our batter together and it looks like any other batter. Oh my gosh, I forgot the salt, just like last time. So in the molasses cookies, I actually forgot to add in the salt, and it didn't matter. I mean, I didn't notice a difference, and nobody else noticed a difference. In fact, all the cookies were gone. They were like the only thing requested to go home with our guests. So kudos to me, I suppose, you know. But let's add our salt in real quick. And 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We've got our cupcake tin. We've got our liners. This will be enough time for you to be able to subscribe to Sweetly Savory if you haven't already. Make sure to share this video. It's super easy recipe, and you don't need a lot of like fancy ingredients for it. So yeah, definitely give this one a share. Make sure to like this video too if you are. I really enjoy everybody. I really appreciate, and yeah, I do enjoy everybody watching my videos, and thanks so much for tuning in each week. So you'll need about 1/4 cup of the batter for each little cup thing here, little muffin thing. And it's not going to be perfect because this all sits in here. So I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it. And if you don't want to use a 1/4 cup thing, then you'll want to fill it at least halfway. And with the correct leavening agents, you will have a nice rise. I don't think with these cupcake liners that I'm going to have to worry about exploding cupcakes, exploding kittens. And you'll have wanted to preheat your oven to a balmy 350 Fahrenheit or 176 Celsius. I know I usually say that I'm going to do my oven a little bit higher because it's gas, but this time I am going to try it at the 350 and see where we end up. Bake time on these is only 18 to 22 minutes. And you'll know that they're ready when you stick your little baking implement in there, like a tablespoon, not a tablespoon, a toothpick or something in there, and it comes out clean. So we're gonna go ahead and stick these in. We'll be back with in a clack motion. Ooh. Our 18 minutes are up. Let's go ahead and check these. Done. These don't look all that done. They haven't domed the way that they typically do, and they still look a little doughy in the center, which is kind of tough to see given these high Elizabethan collars. And they look a little jiggly in the center, a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and stick them back in the oven for the remaining couple of minutes. Always take them out, check them, see if they're done. It's just recommended time. It's always based on your particular cooking vessel. So yeah, we'll go back and check them in a few. 5 minutes is just enough time. Probably a good thing I have these odd Elizabethan collars on here, because a couple of them puffed up real nice. Go ahead and check them. I'm not using this as a thermometer, although this is my favorite meat thermometer. I'm just going to use it as a toothpick type thing, make sure they come out clean, which they did. There you have it. I mean, 20 minutes later, no eggs, no other dairy, and you've got yourself some really fantastic cupcakes. And before you decorate these, you want to make sure that they cool completely, because otherwise you're going to have a janky mess. But I'm gonna be brave and go in for a taste, because it smells so good. I might be wearing my ugly sweater. It might be 32 degrees outside, but you can make these any time of the year. These are seasonal eats. These are yearly eats. These are tasty treats. So, bon appetit. It's so light and airy, and even if like you eat these a day later or after they've completely cooled, they're not gonna get like rock hard or anything. They're gonna stay nice and soft and fresh. So I definitely recommend this recipe. It might be depression cake, but it's gonna make you super happy when you go to make it. You're gonna be super happy when it comes out of the oven, because this is definitely tasty. Thanks so much for watching the last few months of Sweetly Savory. If you just tune in and you haven't subscribed yet, I would really appreciate it if you did. It means the world to me. I really love making this channel. I've learned a lot in my editing and in my whole scope of the YouTube verse. So make sure to tune in Tuesdays now instead of Sundays. So definitely that bell for notifications so you know when Sweetly Savory is gonna be released. And I guess we'll see you next time.